Welcome back, Defenders. Jake here. Today's video, we have to focus on the port city of Odessa. 3 nights of fear and destruction in Odessa. The Kiev Post reports on 3 nights of terror from massive Russian missile attacks intended to paralyze the port and prevent grain shipments. So here's a tweet from Ukraine's Ministry of Defense. This is for the attack on the night of the 18th, reported on the 19th. So Russia attacked with 8 Kh-22 cruise missiles, 6 Onyx cruise missiles, 16 caliber sea-based cruise missiles, 1 Kh-59, and 32 Shahed drones. Most of it was shot down, but some of these missiles are still hitting their targets. The next night, so this is the night of the 19th, reported on the 20th, another 6 caliber cruise missiles, as well as 13 Iranian Shahed drones. I don't have the figures for last night. It'll probably be reported soon. But for a report on the ground in Odessa, this is Alexei Goncharenko, a member of the Ukrainian parliament, representing the city.
Hello to everybody from Odessa. This is Odessa City Council building, and here is Odessa port. You can see it. It's very close because the city was built around the port. And this night, Russia again attacked Odessa port and Odessa. That was the biggest missile and drone attack from the start of full-scale invasion. More than 30 missiles, more than 30 drones attacked our city. And why Putin is doing this? Because Odessa is one of the biggest his aims, maybe now the biggest and the most desirable his aim and objective. Because Odessa is the biggest city on the Black Sea coast, and Putin tries to cause as much chaos in the world as possible by stopping of Ukrainian agricultural export, by stopping of Odessa ports, and by causing starvation for millions and millions of people around the globe. His aim is as much chaos as possible. His aim is millions of people starving, new waves of refugees running from their countries to Europe and to other countries. That's what he wants. And definitely we are not afraid of Putin. Odessa people, we are the city hero.
The people of Odessa are choosing not to be afraid of Putin. But the pictures and videos of the air defense systems going off are pretty terrifying. Here's a copyrighted clip from CNN. I'll link it down below if you want to watch it, showing the night sky being lit up with tracer rounds, trying to shoot down all these missiles and drones. And unfortunately, some of these missiles did hit their targets. I'm going to do something I've never done before, and I'm going to play this clip, but I'm only going to play the audio so that you can hear the terror from these people when a caliber cruise missile hits the port infrastructure. So we're just going to listen. I can't play the video. I'll link it down below if you want to see it for yourself. And President Zelensky stated the obvious. Russia deliberately targeted the grain infrastructure at the Odessa port. That was their target. And here's the damage and devastation from the missile and drone attacks. Yes, most of the missiles and drones were shot down, so this could look a lot worse. But Russia wants to prevent Ukraine from being able to export their grain to the rest of the world. The goal is famine in Africa, famine in Asia, and famine in the Middle East. Russia is losing this war, and they're willing to gamble and see if this somehow benefits them. Here's an address from President Zelensky. I'll link it down below. It's 4 minutes, but he states that at this moment in the port, 60,000 tons of agricultural products were destroyed. And a lot of this food was intended to be shipped to China. So rising food prices in China, that's going to be a result of Russia's grand strategy. Let's see if that pays off for them. And Russia is claiming that their attacks on the Odessa port are retaliation for the Crimean bridge attack, but this is nonsense. Russia was always going to do this. They've been stating that they wanted out of the grain deal for 6 months, really, and they really wanted out of the grain deal the last 3 months. Turkey saying, no, you're not, we're still going to do the grain deal. So the only way Russia could prevent grain from being exported to the world is just to destroy the harbor. They were always going to do this. And of course, because they're Russians and they're really bad at everything, they missed the harbor and they hit a lot of other stuff. So here's a giant crater, thankfully, that just missed this building, but you can see all the windows were blown out. And the Russians blew up a cemetery. A cemetery. Long-range, high-precision weapons that only hit military targets, according to the Russians. And Russia's Ministry of Defense is declaring that all ships sailing to Ukrainian ports will be considered military targets. Doesn't matter where the ship is from. Doesn't matter if it's a commercial agricultural ship from China or Saudi Arabia or Yemen. They're all going to be viewed as valid military targets by the Russian military. But Russia's not actually going to fire on any of these ships. I'm going to explain what they're going to do in a second. But this is a disastrous policy. The problem for Russia is that this opens up a spiral in which Ukrainian naval operations can declare open season on all Russian shipping in the Black Sea. If Russia is declaring that all civilian ships are valid military targets, then that works both ways. Now, I don't think Ukraine is going to target agricultural ships because it makes their arguments look bad, but there might be other commercial Russian shipping happening in the Black Sea where Ukraine might make an example of one of those ships. We'll see what Ukraine chooses to do. But I don't think Russia's going to fire on any ships if they're being escorted by the Turkish military, because this would then be the end of the Russian Navy in the Black Sea. Yes, the Russian Navy is more powerful than the Turkish Navy, but Russia's Navy is spread out in the Caspian Sea, the Baltic Sea, the Arctic Ocean, and the Pacific Ocean. In the Black Sea, Turkey has the advantage. If these two navies were to go to war, Turkey could probably mop this up in an hour or two. So what is Russia going to do instead to stop Ukraine from exporting its grain? One, try and destroy the harbor. They're probably going to continuously attack it to exhaust Ukraine's air defense systems. But the Russians are so stupid that they admitted to their secret plan on Kremlin state TV. So Russian propagandists discuss their secret plan on television to mine the Black Sea corridor through which the ships carry the agricultural products. So I'm not going to play the clip, I'll link it down, but this guy is saying, that is why the remote stealthy setting of our mines from our submarines will allow us to block the ports without Russia being blamed. So they're going to use submarines to launch mines in the paths of these ships. And then when the ships hit a mine, Russia's just going to say that was a Ukrainian mine. Ukraine did it, not Russia. They're admitting to conspiracy on TV because they're that stupid. And of course, they blew up the dam. Of course, Russia is guilty of everything. They're so stupid, guys. But let's actually add a little bit more information to this story. 5 European countries to ask for extended EU ban on Ukrainian grain. So the countries are Poland, Hungary, Romania, Slovakia, and Bulgaria. If you're not tracking what's going on, Ukraine can't get their agricultural exports out. So other EU countries basically have an import ban because it's disrupting the local markets with their domestic farmers. So if Ukraine by rail or truck wants to export, let's say to Germany or France, they can of course go through these countries. But the final destination for their agricultural goods cannot be these countries because it's disrupting their local farming industry. So this is a huge problem. I think a lot of Ukrainian fields and a lot of Ukrainian farmers are just going to go idle. If Russia destroys the ports, mines the waters, fires on ships, shipping by sea is the most efficient and the only reasonable way to do it. You just can't get this amount of grain out by rail and truck. So this is going to affect global food prices. This is going to cause instability in especially Africa and the Middle East. That is Russia's objective, so it's important for all of us to just keep repeating, Russia's doing this on purpose. They're trying to starve millions of people. The Russians are terrible. Let's do something about it. We've got an update on PMC Wagner, and the Russian Ministry of Defense continues to dissolve the organization, absorbing as many of their fighters back into the regular Russian military, forcing them to sign contracts, painting over the signs, giving them new patches for their uniforms. But Prigozhin is still around, and we finally got a video. He's, I guess this is early morning, addressing his troops at a field camp in Belarus, but for everyone out there that really missed Prigozhin's voice, let's listen to what he has to say.
Рада вас всех приветствовать! Приездом на белорусскую землю! Мы достойно воевали! Вы сделали для России очень много! Сейчас то, что происходит на фронте, это позор, в котором нам не нужно участвовать. И дождаться того момента, когда мы сможем...
Oh, I love to hear it. What's happening at the front now is a shame that we don't need to participate in. We need to wait for the moments when we can fully show our abilities. Not to go back into Ukraine. Prigozhin is done with Ukraine. Prigozhin wants to go back to Moscow when he thinks he has the upper hand. And a Wagner-linked Telegram channel released the stats for their fight for Bakhmut, and 78,000 Wagner mercenaries participated, 49,000 of which were prisoners, convicts. 22,000 killed, 40,000 wounded, only 25,000 are still alive and healthy, only 10,000 of them followed Prigozhin to Belarus. So if you do the math, 67,000 killed and wounded out of a total of 78,000 is a casualty rate of 79%. The Russians had to sustain a casualty rate of 79% to take a city of about pre-war 70,000 people. So no, the Russian military is never going to take Zaporizhia, they're never going to take Kharkiv, they're never going to take Odessa, they're never going to retake the city of Kherson. Russia's just really bad at war. My family is starving. Russian soldier complains about not being paid. In an intercepted phone call, the very angry soldier also complains about a lack of ammunition, claiming there is only one grenade for each person. So this phone conversation that was intercepted is a Russian soldier talking to his wife, and he's not getting paid. The payments are not making it to his wife and child. His wife doesn't have money for food. His family back home in Russia is literally starving. So here's the intercepted phone call with a translation provided by Dmitry. I'll link it down below, but I don't really see any positive videos from Russian soldiers coming off the front lines. I understand this could be a biased sampling of the Russian forces, but literally I find nothing good about the quality of care, the level of organization, and, the capabilities of Russia's fighting forces on the front lines. It's just trash in every respect. South Africa confirms Putin will skip the BRICS summits. So for people saying BRICS is the future, Putin wanted to go to South Africa to attend this conference in person, and Awkwardly, South Africa told him, "You can't. You're an internationally wanted war criminal by The Hague, and we would be treaty bound to arrest you if you physically came into our country." So Putin's going to show up on monitor, Skype, and Defense Minister Lavrov will attend the summit in his place. That's so awkward. 4 NASAM systems announced for Ukraine amongst a $1.3 billion military assistance package from the United States. I really like what the United States has been doing lately with their assistance packages, declaring stuff to basically dampen Russian propaganda. So a couple weeks ago, when Ukraine lost a bunch of Bradley infantry fighting vehicles, the Russians claimed they destroyed like 25, 26 Bradleys. The United States then announced, "Oh, we're sending 26 replacement Bradleys." So with Russia attacking the port city of Odessa, the United States announced 4 additional surface-to-air missile systems to improve their air defense systems. The next thing I want to mention to you guys, a group of Ukrainians reached out to me, and I really want to help promote their product. So the name of the group is Wooden Army, and they developed a wooden model Himars. So first of all, who are these guys? Meet a group of volunteers from Ukraine who have launched a project to build self-assembly 3D wooden models of modern and historical weapon systems, starting with the glorious multiple launch rocket system. So I guess if this Himars sells well, they want to create wood models of other weapon systems. And they're doing this to benefit a charity. The charity for Ukraine is Children of Heroes. So this is an organization that helps children who lost 1 or 2 parents during this war. And they've launched a Kickstarter in order to raise capital to produce a bunch of these. This is how Kickstarter works. So if you want to head over to their Kickstarter and watch their video, I mean, this wooden 3D model looks incredible. You can actually fire Gimler's rounds from the truck, as well as ATACMS. ATACMS haven't showed up in Ukraine yet, but I think these guys are pretty confident they will eventually arrive. So how this works, if you want to contribute to their Kickstarter, you're basically pre-ordering your model, which will be shipped to you, and they're offering a 30% discount. So to just get the truck, it's $69. I guess once the Kickstarter is done and they've ordered enough of these, the regular price will be $100. But you can also pay more, and you can get, you see right here, you can get like targets to fire your Gimler's rounds at, or you can get some camo netting with your Himars, protect it from Russian artillery. This is pretty cool. So if you guys want to, I'll put the link down both in the description and the pinned comments. You can learn more for yourself, and if you want to support these guys, they would greatly appreciate it. Another cool story you should know about is that the Motherland Monument in Kiev is getting a makeover. So currently on the shield of this monument, we've got the old Soviet hammer and sickle. Ukraine has finally organized an effort in order to replace the shield, and they're going to replace it with, obviously, the Ukrainian trident. So here's a cool video of the workers working on the replacement, which should go up in the coming weeks. Especially in a time of war, symbols matter, monuments matter. This is the correct thing to do, and it's going to look awesome. Final clip I have for you is a Ukrainian defender just spending time with a puppy.
Валера, блядь. Ебанашка нахуй. Ты не боишься, что нас прихерятить, Валера? Не, у меня сердце колотится страшный. Ну, да, сейчас. Піською своєю вилізла мені на голову. Чи це пісня «Сядь, сядь мне на лицо». Це про тебе, да? Давай. Ай, Валера.
Puppies make the world better. That's all for this update video. Glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes. If you found this video informative, give me a thumbs up. Best way to support the channel. Comments and questions, let me know down below. I love hearing from you guys. Till the next video, keep defending the truth, keep defending democracy.